Did you know that behind the world's most famous monuments, there are secrets that most people are unaware of? While millions of tourists take pictures and walk in awe through places like the Eiffel Tower or the Great Wall of China, few notice the hidden mysteries in the shadows of these wonders. What if I told you that each of these historical monuments holds mysterious facts that could completely change the way you see them? We're not just talking about beautiful structures, but symbols filled with enigmatic stories, full of curiosities that are rarely revealed. Why is it that certain details go unnoticed, even when they're in plain sight? The truth is, these famous monuments weren't just made to impress, but also to hide. There are stories buried in every stone, every wall, that you've probably never heard of. And that's where things get really interesting. Get ready, because what you're about to discover goes far beyond what the tourist guides usually tell. But be careful, once you know the truth, it will be impossible to look at these places the same way again. After all, they aren't just pieces of history, they are fragments of a past filled with mysteries and hidden details, ready to be uncovered. So, if you think you've seen everything about these monuments, prepare to be surprised. What we are about to explore together will open a new perspective on what it really means to visit these iconic places. And the best part? With each revelation, you will feel more connected to these stories, as if you were unraveling a secret kept for centuries. Mysterious Heads of Easter Island. The mysterious heads of Easter Island, known as moais, are true enigmas carved in stone. These impressive statues, which can reach up to 10 meters in height, were created between 1400 and 1650 by the island's inhabitants, a civilization full of secrets and beliefs. Interestingly, these famous monuments are not just heads. Many have entire bodies buried underground, as if symbolically connected to the earth. This discovery revealed a mysterious fact about the island, showing that even when we think we've seen everything, there is always something hidden. An interesting fact is that the moais symbolize important figures in the local society, probably chiefs or deified ancestors. Imagining the scene of an isolated society, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, carving stone giants as tributes to their ancestors, is fascinating. These historical monuments seem to hold a deep connection to the spiritual world, and some say that even today their aura of mystery is felt by those who visit them. Perhaps, one day you too will be able to feel this energy as you walk among these gigantic figures. The techniques used to carve and transport the moais are equally intriguing. There are theories suggesting that the Rapa Nui society, without modern tools, managed to move these monumental stones using only ropes and the collective strength of their community. Just imagine, it's as if a group of people, united by a common goal, managed to accomplish the impossible. And here, we can reflect on the power of cooperation in our daily lives. When we work together, we can move even the largest stones we encounter on our path. A little-known detail is that many of these statues face away from the sea, looking inward toward the island, as if they are protecting the land and its people. This choice of positioning also makes us think about the importance of looking inward, of protecting what is ours, before focusing on what is out there. In our current world, full of distractions, this is a valuable reminder. Have you ever stopped to reflect on what you need to protect in your life? And, of course, the mystery continues. Despite numerous studies and theories, we still don't have all the answers about how and why these monuments were made. Each time someone steps onto Easter Island, a new question may arise. And that's what's fascinating about history. It challenges us to keep exploring, questioning, and discovering. But there's more to come. Let's now travel to another place, equally enigmatic, where opulence and power take on a completely different form. Palace of Versailles. The Palace of Versailles is the pinnacle of opulence and French absolutist power. What began as a simple hunting lodge was transformed, under the hands of Louis XIV, into the greatest symbol of the French monarchy. Walking through its corridors is like traveling back in time, feeling the presence of kings and queens who shaped European history. Every detail of this historic monument, from the crystal chandeliers to the gilded furniture, reflects the Sun King's desire to display his supremacy. The palace, with its elaborate gardens, still teaches us today how architecture can be a manifestation of power. When speaking of the Hall of Mirrors, the heart of Versailles, we cannot ignore its impact. This place witnessed decisive moments, such as the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I. Imagine walking through a space where history was literally written. This hall, with its infinite reflections, symbolizes the multiplied power of the monarchy and, at the same time, reminds us of how power can be both illusory and fleeting. The grandeur of Versailles, though dazzling, also carries the lesson that everything has an end, even the most glorious reigns. Versailles' relationship with its gardens is equally fascinating. Designed by André Le Nôtre, these gardens are not just green spaces but true large-scale works of art. Maintaining these gardens required an army of gardeners and flawless logistics to ensure that every plant was in perfect condition. This makes us think, if nature can be so orderly and grand when tended with dedication, what could we achieve in our own lives with a little more discipline and care? Versailles teaches us that beauty demands constant effort. Behind all the luxury and ostentation, the Palace of Versailles also carries an interesting contrast. While the monarchy lived in abundance, the French people suffered from hunger and poverty. This famous monument is therefore a vivid reminder of the inequalities that led to the French Revolution. Visiting Versailles is not just about admiring the wealth, but also reflecting on the lessons of a society out of balance. And this is something that still resonates today, as we look at social disparities in the modern world. Thus, as we delve into the splendor and shadows of Versailles, we realize that this palace is much more than just a building. It is a symbol of excess, power, and downfall. Yet, what makes it truly fascinating is how it continues to teach us about the highs and lows of human history. Now, we move on to another iconic monument, this time in the United States, where simplicity blends with deep symbolism. Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., is a monument that exudes simplicity while holding deep historical significance. Inaugurated in 1922, it honors the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, a central figure in preserving the union of the country during the Civil War. The architecture of the memorial, inspired by Greek temples, reflects the idea of Lincoln as a defender of democracy, much like the ancient Greeks. Gazing at the imposing statue of Lincoln seated, visitors can feel the weight of the responsibility he bore during one of the most turbulent periods in American history. A mysterious fact that few people know about the Lincoln Memorial is hidden in his hands. The statue of Lincoln forms the letters A and L in sign language as a tribute to his role in founding Gallaudet University, an institution for the deaf. This detail, almost imperceptible to most, shows how even in the most famous monuments there are layers of hidden meanings. It teaches us that often the greatest gestures are those that go unnoticed but have a profound impact. And so, even in silence, there is powerful communication. The location of the Lincoln Memorial is also rich in symbolism. Situated at the western end of the National Mall, it aligns directly with the Capitol and the Washington Monument, forming an axis of power and history. Iconic speeches have been delivered here, such as Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous "I Have a Dream" speech, which echoed off the marble walls of this historic monument. The energy of this place transcends a simple tribute to Lincoln. It feels as though the memorial is a convergence point for the struggles for civil rights and social justice in the United States. Each visit to the Lincoln Memorial is an opportunity to reflect on the progress made and the challenges still to come. It's as if King's words from that historic day still reverberate in the air, reminding us that the quest for equality is a continuous journey. Another interesting fact about the Lincoln Memorial is the inscription of the Gettysburg Address on the interior wall. This famous speech, known for its brevity and depth, serves as a constant reminder of the sacrifice made by so many during the Civil War and of Lincoln's vision for a united nation. Walking through this famous monument, surrounded by these immortal words, feels like receiving a living history lesson. Lincoln's words are not just to be read but to be felt and reflected upon. They remind us that the right words, at the right moment, can change the course of a nation. The Lincoln Memorial remains a symbol of hope and resilience, a space that invites us to ponder leadership, justice, and legacy. Every detail of this historic monument was designed to inspire future generations to never give up fighting for what is right. Just as Lincoln faced adversity with determination, this memorial challenges us to do the same in our own lives. Now, with the spirit of reflection and change in mind, let's cross the ocean and discover an equally fascinating place where the imperial power of ancient China still resonates. Forbidden City. The Forbidden City, located in the heart of Beijing, is one of the most extraordinary historical monuments in the world. For more than 5 centuries, it was the center of Chinese imperial power, where only the emperor, his court, and select guests could enter. With over 8,700 rooms, this palace complex is a testament to the grandeur and control that the Ming and Qing dynasties exercised over China. The very existence of the Forbidden City conveys a sense of mystery, as if, upon passing through its gates, visitors are crossing into another world where the secrets of the empire still echo within the walls. Inside the Forbidden City, every building and every detail holds deep meaning. The layout of the structures strictly follows the principles of feng shui, an ancient Chinese practice aimed at harmonizing the environment with natural forces. The emperor's throne, for example, is perfectly aligned with the position of the stars, representing the emperor's central role as a mediator between heaven and earth. This fascinating fact illustrates how architecture can be much more than functional. It is symbolic, reflecting the worldview of those who designed it. Whenever we look at a famous monument like the Forbidden City, we should ask ourselves what its structure is truly communicating. What also impresses about the Forbidden City is the level of control it represented. This vast complex was not just a palace, but also a fortress that kept the outside world at bay. For the emperor, ruling from the Forbidden City was like being at the eye of the storm, in a bubble of absolute power. However, this isolation came with a cost. The emperors themselves, no matter how powerful, were confined within their gilded walls. This contrast between luxury and confinement is a lesson in the pitfalls of power, showing that even the most privileged can be trapped by their circumstances. Life inside the Forbidden City was marked by rigid etiquette and protocol, where every movement was observed and every decision had profound implications. Palace intrigues, conspiracies, and power plays were part of daily life, reflecting the intense social control of the time. Visiting this historic monument today, it is easy to get lost in the beauty of its temples and courtyards, but it is also important to remember that for many, living there was like walking a tightrope between the emperor's favor and exile or even death. This closed environment, where few had a voice, still resonates as a reminder of the extremes to which absolute power can lead. Over the centuries, the Forbidden City has remained intact, surviving dynastic changes and modern challenges. Today, it is one of the largest museums in the world, preserving the history of a civilization that influenced vast regions of the planet. As we leave the Forbidden City, we say farewell to the corridors of imperial power and prepare to explore another type of wonder, where water becomes a symbol of hope and desire, the iconic Trevi Fountain in Rome. Trevi Fountain. The Trevi Fountain, located in the heart of Rome, is one of the most famous monuments in the world and one of the city's most iconic symbols. Completed in 1762, this impressive Baroque masterpiece has been the backdrop for countless cinematic moments and is the focal point of a well-known ritual, tossing a coin to ensure a return to the Eternal City. The sound of coins splashing into the water is almost like music that connects us to the past, an echo of humanity's desire for luck and new beginnings. This interesting fact shows us how symbolism and popular belief play an important role even in historical monuments. The architecture of the fountain is a spectacle in itself, with the statue of Neptune dominating the scene, surrounded by seahorses and tritons. Every detail was designed to capture the grandeur and power of the sea, as if the fountain were a gateway to the aquatic realm of the gods. This monumental construction is not just a fountain but a tribute to ancient Roman engineering, as the water flowing through it comes from one of Rome's oldest aqueducts. A mysterious fact is that, beyond the symbolism tied to wishes, the Trevi Fountain has a complex system of channels that connects it directly to the glorious past of the Roman Empire. What makes the Trevi Fountain even more fascinating is the social and economic value generated by this coin-tossing tradition. Each day, about $4,000 in coins are collected from the fountain and used to help Rome's less fortunate. This seemingly simple gesture has a real and positive impact on many lives. Just imagine, every visitor, by tossing their coin, is contributing to a cycle of solidarity that transcends time and culture. This interesting fact transforms the monument from a mere tourist attraction into a symbol of compassion and community. Another remarkable aspect of the Trevi Fountain is how it has transcended its original function to become a cultural icon. From classic films like La Dolce Vita to thousands of tourist photos on social media, the fountain has become a symbol of romance, adventure, and dreams. It's as if it has taken on a life of its own, attracting not only those who wish to return to Rome but also those seeking a moment of magic in their lives. The fountain, with its imposing beauty, is a reminder that sometimes we need to stop and allow our wishes to flow freely, just like the water running through it. And so, as we move away from the Trevi Fountain, with the sound of water still echoing in our ears, we are led to reflect on the power of monuments in our lives. Each famous monument carries with it stories, hopes, and mysteries that connect us to humanity on a deeper level. Now, we head to Mexico, where a colossal pyramid holds the secrets of ancient civilizations and makes us question what we truly know about the past. Great Pyramid of Cholula. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, located in Mexico, is an immense monument, and few people know that it is the largest pyramid in the world in terms of volume. Surpassing even the pyramids of Egypt, this historical monument was built over several generations and reflects the influence of different civilizations that inhabited the region. When you look at the pyramid today, you see a Catholic church on top, creating a fascinating visual and cultural contrast. This reminds us that history is often layers upon layers of beliefs and traditions that overlap over time. A mysterious fact about the Great Pyramid of Cholula is that much of it is covered in vegetation, making it look more like a hill than an artificial structure at first glance. For centuries, this famous monument remained hidden from the world until excavations revealed the grandeur of the pyramid. This teaches us an interesting lesson. Sometimes the greatest achievements are hidden, waiting for the right moment to be rediscovered. Just like the pyramid, perhaps there are talents and potentials within us that have yet to emerge. The history of this pyramid is deeply tied to religion and war. When Spanish conquerors arrived in the region, they not only built the church on top of the pyramid but also tried to erase the traces of indigenous civilizations. However, the pyramid withstood the passage of time and the attempts at destruction, remaining as a symbol of resilience. Each time we visit, we are reminded of how culture and history have a surprising strength, even when facing adversity. This historical monument challenges us to reflect on what we leave behind and what we choose to preserve. In addition to its impressive size, the Great Pyramid of Cholula also has a network of tunnels carved within it, stretching for several kilometers. These tunnels form a true labyrinth, revealing more secrets about how this pyramid was built and used over the centuries. Exploring these passages feels like venturing into the past, uncovering the mysteries of the civilizations that once lived there. As you walk through these corridors, it's impossible not to wonder about the stories these walls could tell, about the rituals and lives that unfolded in this place. Leaving the Great Pyramid of Cholula, the feeling is that there is always something more to be discovered, something hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed. The pyramid reminds us that, no matter how much we try to control time and progress, the past will always find a way to make itself present. Now, we leave Mexico to cross the ocean once again, where a modern architectural wonder awaits us, defying convention with its bold and innovative lines, the iconic Sydney Opera House. Sydney Opera House. The Sydney Opera House, with its sail-like forms inspired by wind-filled sails, is one of the most famous and recognizable monuments in the world. Inaugurated in 1973, this masterpiece of modern architecture is an impressive example of how design can merge with the surrounding environment. Its location, perched on Sydney's harbour, creates a perfect symbiosis between the structure and the sea, making it a symbol of the city and of Australia as a whole. Looking at this famous monument, we are reminded of how architectural innovation has the power to redefine landscapes and create new cultural landmarks. The story behind the construction of the Sydney Opera House is as fascinating as its appearance. Originally, the project was estimated to cost around $7 million, but due to numerous delays and technical challenges, the final cost reached an astonishing $102 million. This interesting fact makes us reflect on the nature of perseverance. Sometimes, the obstacles and challenges we encounter along the way may seem insurmountable, but just as with the Opera House, the final result can be something extraordinary. And it's not just the building itself that impresses. The Opera House has become a cultural and artistic hub, impacting millions of people around the world. The design of the Sydney Opera House was conceived by Danish architect Jorn Utzon, whose innovative vision faced criticism and resistance during construction. Many considered his idea too bold, almost impossible to execute. However, Utzon persisted, and today his creation is regarded as one of the greatest architectural wonders of the 20th century. This teaches us a powerful lesson about the value of following your vision, even when others doubt you. Sometimes, the most innovative ideas are the ones that seem most improbable, but it's precisely that element of risk that makes them special. The Sydney Opera House is more than just a beautiful building, it is a vibrant center of cultural activities. From ballets to symphony concerts, this historic monument offers a variety of performances that attract audiences from all over the world. Imagine yourself sitting in one of its concert halls, immersed in a dazzling performance, while the Sydney Harbour glows outside. Visiting the Opera House is like stepping into a space where art, architecture, and the landscape come together in perfect harmony, creating an experience that goes beyond the visual, touching the senses and the soul. As we contemplate the Sydney Opera House, we realize that its beauty lies not only in its form but also in its function. It serves as a reminder that when we combine creativity and determination, we can turn what seems impossible into reality. Now, we leave Sydney's harbour and head to Southeast Asia, where another monument rises, symbolizing the spirit of a nation's freedom, the National Monument of Jakarta, also known as Monas. National Monument of Jakarta. The National Monument of Jakarta, known as Monas, is one of Indonesia's most important historical monuments, erected as a symbol of the country's independence. Inaugurated in 1975, Monas stands out not only for its imposing height of 132 meters but also for the golden flame that crowns its top, representing the eternal spirit of Indonesian freedom. The flame, gilded in gold, serves as a visible reminder that the struggle for a people's freedom and sovereignty should be celebrated and preserved. This famous monument is not just a physical structure, it carries the emotional and symbolic weight of a nation that overcame colonization to become independent. When visiting Monas, you encounter a space that goes beyond being just a tourist attraction. Inside the monument, there is a museum that tells the story of Indonesian independence, from colonization to the proclamation of freedom. This museum, filled with interesting facts, is a true lesson in history, teaching us about the power of resistance and unity. As you explore the exhibits, it is impossible not to feel a connection to the struggle of the Indonesian people who fought hard for their identity and freedom. Thus, Monas becomes more than just an architectural landmark, it is an anchor of the collective memory of a people. Beyond its historical significance, Monas is a gathering place and a site of celebration for the people of Jakarta. Its surrounding park is often used for cultural events, peaceful protests, and national celebrations. This famous monument is therefore not just a static symbol of power but a living space where society comes together to express their emotions and hopes. This makes us reflect on the role of historical monuments in our own lives. They are not just constructions to be admired but spaces that can unite people and strengthen social cohesion. The design of Monas was inspired by elements of Indonesian culture and nature. The base of the monument is square, representing the earth, while the tower symbolizes spiritual ascent and the aspiration to reach the sky. The golden flame at the top, in turn, is a metaphor for the vital energy that never extinguishes. This interesting fact reminds us that every detail of a famous monument carries deep meaning. As we observe it closely, we are invited to think about how our own aspirations might align with the pursuit of something greater, something that transcends the material and touches the spiritual. Thus, Monas is not only a symbol of independence but also of continuous aspiration and hope. As we leave Jakarta and Monas behind, we are guided by the idea that the quest for freedom and progress never truly ends. Now, we journey to London, where the famous Big Ben awaits us with its precise rhythm and fascinating history. Big Ben. Big Ben, the famous clock that dominates the London skyline, is one of the most iconic monuments in the world. Although many refer to the clock as Big Ben, the true name of the structure is the Elizabeth Tower, while Big Ben is actually the nickname for the giant bell inside the tower. Completed in 1859, this Victorian-era construction has become a symbol of British punctuality and the resilience of the London spirit. The characteristic sound of its chimes echoes throughout the city, marking not only time but also the continuity and tradition of a nation. This famous monument is undoubtedly a testament to the ingenuity and precision of the Victorian era. What many don't know is that Big Ben's accuracy is maintained in a rather peculiar way. To ensure the clock remains precise, old coins are placed on the pendulum to adjust its timing. This reveals an interesting fact about the historic monument. Even in such a grand and complex structure, small details, like the addition of a coin, can make all the difference. This practice reminds us that sometimes the subtle adjustments in our own lives are what keep things running smoothly. Every detail counts, no matter how small it may seem. Over the years, Big Ben has survived many challenges, including the bombings during World War II, when the House of Commons was destroyed, but the tower remained intact. This mysterious fact reinforces Big Ben's status as a symbol of endurance and perseverance. Even in the darkest moments of British history, the sound of Big Ben's chimes offered comfort and stability, reminding everyone that despite the adversities, life goes on. This famous monument teaches us that, like the clock that continues to tick, we must keep our determination and move forward, no matter what happens. Big Ben is also a cultural icon, featured in countless films, books, and works of art, and is often associated with the spirit of London. It is much more than just a clock, it is a symbol representing the city and its traditions. Seeing it, tourists from all over the world feel connected to something greater, as if Big Ben is the guardian of time and the history of one of the world's greatest cities. For many, visiting London and hearing Big Ben's chimes is an experience that transcends tourism, becoming a profound connection to history. And so, as we bid farewell to Big Ben, with the sound of its chimes still resonating in our minds, we prepare for a journey further east. Now, we venture to the Great Wall of China, a monument of epic proportions that has witnessed centuries of history and holds countless secrets along its 21,000 kilometers of length. Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China is undoubtedly one of the most famous and impressive monuments in the world. Stretching over 21,000 kilometers, this monumental structure was built across several dynasties, primarily to protect Chinese territory from invasions. As you walk upon its ancient stones, you can feel the weight of history beneath your feet, as if each step connects you to thousands of years of wars, strategies, and sacrifices. This historic monument stands as a testament to the human power to construct something colossal in an attempt to shape and control the destiny of a nation. An interesting fact about the Great Wall of China is that it is not a single, continuous structure. Contrary to popular belief, the wall is composed of various sections, built at different times for different reasons. Some parts are made of solid bricks, while others were constructed using rammed earth, stones, and even intertwined branches. This detail reveals a mysterious fact about the wall. Its strength lies not only in its solidity but also in its adaptability. Just as the wall was built under various conditions, we too can find strength in our ability to adapt to circumstances. Another curiosity is that, over the centuries, the wall was not just a physical barrier against invaders but also a channel for communication and trade. The watchtowers along its length were used to signal impending attacks, using fire or smoke to send quick messages across vast distances. This famous monument, therefore, not only protected China but also served as a vital line of communication. This makes us reflect on how the great barriers in our lives can also become means of connection and exchange if we know how to use them strategically. The Great Wall of China also has a deep cultural impact. It symbolizes the tenacity and determination of the Chinese people over the centuries. Today, this historic monument attracts millions of visitors each year, who come not only to admire its grandeur but also to reflect on the lessons it offers. Every stone carries a story, every stretch tells a narrative of defense, resistance, and perseverance. The wall reminds us that no matter how great the challenge, there is always a way to build something lasting and meaningful in response to it. As we step away from the wall, with our gaze fixed on the infinite horizon, we realize that this monument is much more than an ancient construction. It is a symbol of the human capacity to overcome difficulties and adapt to change. Now, we leave China and travel to Malaysia, where another iconic monument rises, touching the skies and symbolizing modern progress: the stunning Petronas Towers. Petronas Towers. The Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur are true icons of modern architecture and a symbol of progress for Malaysia. Completed in 1998, these twin towers quickly achieved the status of famous monuments, dominating the city's skyline with their impressive height of 452 meters. For 6 years, the Petronas Towers held the title of the tallest buildings in the world, and to this day, they remain the tallest twin towers ever constructed. This historic monument reflects Malaysia's ambition and economic growth at the turn of the century, putting the country on the global map in a grand and bold way. An interesting fact about the Petronas Towers is that their design was inspired by the geometric patterns of Islamic art, symbolizing the union of tradition and modernism. The base of each tower follows an 8-pointed pattern, reminiscent of the Islamic star, while the rest of the structure reaches skyward in a celebration of progress and innovation. This detail teaches us how it is possible to balance modernity with respect for cultural traditions. Just as the Petronas Towers unite the past and the future, we too can find ways to honor our history while moving forward toward new achievements. The Petronas Towers are not only an architectural marvel but also a hub for business and culture. They house offices of major global companies, as well as cultural spaces like the Petronas Art Gallery and the Dewan Philharmonic Petronas, one of the finest concert halls in the region. This famous monument, therefore, is not just an imposing structure but a dynamic hub where innovation, business, and culture converge. This makes us reflect on the importance of creating spaces that are not only visually impactful but also functional and enriching for the community. Another fascinating and mysterious fact is the technical challenge of connecting the two towers. The suspended bridge that links them, known as the Sky Bridge, sits at a height of 170 meters and is the largest of its kind in the world. However, this bridge is not directly fixed to the towers. It can move, allowing the towers to sway slightly during strong winds. This detail reveals an important lesson: flexibility can be as essential as strength. Sometimes it's necessary to allow room to move and adapt rather than rigidly resist change. The Petronas Towers, with all their grandeur and sophistication, are more than just an architectural landmark. They are a symbol of the human ability to dream big and turn those dreams into reality. As we leave Kuala Lumpur, with the image of the towers gleaming against the sky, we turn our attention to another equally iconic monument full of stories, the legendary Eiffel Tower in Paris, which was once considered a temporary structure but has become eternal. Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower in Paris is perhaps one of the most famous and recognizable monuments in the world. Built in 1889 for the World's Fair, the tower was originally intended to be a temporary structure, but it became the permanent symbol of Paris and France. Standing at 330 meters tall, it offers breathtaking views of the city and has attracted millions of visitors annually since its inauguration. What began as a controversial piece of engineering, criticized by many at the time, has become one of the most celebrated and photographed historical monuments on the planet. The Eiffel Tower is, without a doubt, a masterpiece that defies time and expectations. An interesting fact about the Eiffel Tower is that during its construction, many artists and intellectuals ridiculed it, calling it a monstrosity. However, Gustave Eiffel, the engineer behind the tower, firmly believed in his project and defended it against the critics. This mysterious fact teaches us a valuable lesson about persistence and vision. Sometimes the ideas that initially seem bold or eccentric end up being the ones that leave a lasting mark. Similarly, in our own lives, we must have the courage to move forward, even when we face resistance or doubt. The Eiffel Tower also played an important role during World War I. It was used as a radio antenna to intercept enemy communications, helping to save Paris from being captured by the Germans. This lesser-known detail reinforces the tower's role not only as a tourist attraction but also as a strategic asset in the defense of the country. This famous monument is therefore not only an icon of beauty and innovation but also of resilience in times of adversity. Every time we look at the tower, we are reminded that even in the most difficult situations, there is always a way to adapt and fight for what is important. Beyond its historical impact, the Eiffel Tower has become a symbol of romance and enchantment. Couples from all over the world visit Paris with the dream of ascending the tower and seeing the city of light at their feet. This historic monument, illuminated at night, evokes feelings of fascination and nostalgia, as if framing the most special moments of people's lives. The Eiffel Tower transcends its original function and becomes part of the love stories, travels, and dreams of many who visit it. It is, in essence, a guardian of magical moments that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. As we move away from the Eiffel Tower, with its lights shining in the Parisian sky, we realize that this monument is much more than just a metal structure. It is a symbol of how beauty, innovation, and persistence can combine to create something truly timeless. Now, we leave Paris and head to another historic landmark, where British royal history meets intrigue and mystery, the Tower of London. Tower of London. The Tower of London, with its ancient stone walls and aura of mystery, is one of the most fascinating historical monuments in the United Kingdom. Built in the 11th century by William the Conqueror to consolidate his rule over London, the fortress has played many roles over the centuries: fortress, royal palace, prison, and even the home of the British crown jewels. Walking through the dark corridors of the tower, you can almost feel the weight of history, as if the walls hold the secrets and intrigues of every prisoner who was ever confined there. This famous monument is undoubtedly a symbol of the power and complexity of the British monarchy. One of the most interesting facts about the Tower of London is the number of notorious figures who were held as prisoners within its cells. Names like Anne Boleyn, Sir Thomas More, and Lady Jane Grey are among those who spent their final days within the tower's walls. These illustrious prisoners have made the tower a place where power and fear coexist in a nearly palpable way. The mysterious fact of how these historical figures transitioned from luxurious palaces to the dark dungeons of the tower reminds us that in history, power can be as volatile as the fate of a condemned prisoner. The British crown jewels, kept in the Tower of London, are another fascinating aspect of this monument. These dazzling relics, which include the imperial crown and royal scepter, are symbols of the power and continuity of the monarchy. For many visitors, seeing the jewels up close is like witnessing the very essence of British royalty. But these pieces also carry stories of intrigue and theft, such as Thomas Blood's attempt to steal the jewels in 1671, an interesting fact that adds a layer of suspense to their splendor. This famous monument is therefore an intriguing blend of brilliance and danger. The Tower of London also hosts a peculiar tradition: the presence of ravens. According to an old legend, if the ravens ever leave the tower, the kingdom will fall. To ensure this never happens, the ravens are well cared for by the tower's guardians, known as beefeaters. This curious detail reminds us how historical monuments are filled with myths and traditions that survive over time. These ravens, aside from being a tourist attraction, symbolize the connection between the past and the present, where ancient superstitions still have a place in our modern perception of famous monuments. As you explore the Tower of London, it becomes clear that it is not just a place of stone and steel, but a repository of dark memories, past glories, and secrets that still linger in the air. The tower invites us to reflect on the hidden side of power and royalty, reminding us that behind every great figure, there are stories that are not always told. And so, as we step away from the imposing walls of the Tower of London, our gaze now turns to the unresolved mysteries that surround other famous monuments around the world. Now that you've uncovered some of the most intriguing mysteries about famous monuments, it's time to change the scenery and explore a new kind of grandeur. If you think historical monuments are impressive, wait until you see what luxury on wheels can offer. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to travel the world in a mobile home that costs millions of dollars? To find out, just click on the video now appearing on your screen, and we'll dive into the world of the most expensive motorhomes ever produced, true mansions on wheels, equipped with everything you can imagine and more.